Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I'm Michael Pachter. I hope that you guys are watching us on SIFTD real time as a Patreon patron, or you're watching on YouTube real time because you're a YouTube subscriber. If you've done either or both of those things, thank you so much. You're helping keep the show alive. If you have done neither of those, or if you've done them and you're just feeling like bored and need to find something else to do with your time, please try to remember to link your Twitch Prime account with your Amazon Prime account. That way, Amazon will pay us. You are sticking it to Amazon. It's something you have to re-up every month or two. So if you haven't done it in a couple months, please check out the show description. There are instructions on how to link your Amazon and Twitch Prime accounts together, and we'll get paid. This week's Pachter Factor Live, we're thinking about old IP versus new IP. Does it make sense to revive old IP like Metal Gear Solid? You know, we've had Konami talking about bringing back older Metal Gear games because young people, anybody under 20, never played one of those. And probably most people under 30 never played any of the old ones. It's a good question. It's a loaded question because bringing back old IP doesn't cost a lot. Obviously, all the creative's already done, and you can remaster it pretty cheaply. Creating new IP, you're taking a risk because you don't know if stuff's going to work or not. It's safe to remake stuff, so you can remake stuff, and it's safe to take a 1970s TV show, maybe the 60s, Mission Impossible, and come up with a movie series and keep going, or take a 1980s movie, Top Gun, in the 90s, and remake it with the original star because the brand has value. So I think that it makes perfect sense if you know that the formula works with Metal Gear. The problem is, if you actually just take an old game and remaster it, it might not be good enough to hook the new generation. So the question is, did we play the game because the story was amazing and the challenges were amazing, or do we play it for great graphics and great game mechanics? And the answer is a little bit of both. Like, I think that people like old stuff. I think people like old brands, but they always like the new twist. And I think that the good example of that is Grand Theft Auto 6. I have heard that it was going to have at least 3 settings, and very likely 4. The 3 settings being Liberty City, which is New York-ish, Vice City, which is Miami, and San Andreas, which is west coast of California. And so far we know about the Vice City location. We don't know about the other 2. But what they're doing is recycling at least one Vice City old location and one kind of vibe for the game. Very likely recycling all 3. I still believe that's going to happen, and that they were going to add a 4th to make it really new. But we're super excited about it because we like San Andreas and Vice City and GTA 3, which took place in Liberty City. So recycling the setting and recycling the feel of the game, I think that's really smart. Recycling the actual game itself, it's been done a million times. We got the Halo Master Chief series remastered. We got the Uncharted full set. We've had GTA, the trilogy, relaunched. They do okay, and obviously, if you're a company like Konami and you've got nothing else, that's what you do. But I think that gamers want something new, and I think that one of the issues we've had with video game development the last 15 years is nobody wants to take a risk. The cost of making a game, at least since the PS4, has gotten so prohibitive, since 2013, has gotten so prohibitive, 100 million and up, that nobody wants to make a $50 million game for 100 million. It doesn't make sense. So you're not getting smaller, fun games. I mean, you get them occasionally, but they end up being like Stardew Valley, like really small games. You don't get really great new content that often. Occasionally you do. You can do it, but it's I think people really prefer the sequel. They prefer Call of Duty 27 and Battlefield 15 and Madden 25. Obviously the other big issue with remastering old games, anything from before 2006, you're talking about low value content. I mean, the stories tend to be guy's family got killed. He's got to go get revenge, and there's nothing else. There's no character development. The cutscenes are really boring. I mean, there really is very little going on in the game, and that's just because back in the day of the PS1 and PS2, you just didn't have the power or the storage to do that much of a story. Where now you get like full blown cinematic cutscenes which fill in the story and carry it forward. So, are young people going to say this is just not what I signed up for? Yeah, sure. I truly understand the concern that young people are not going to get it. That they're going to want much more immersive content where they get hooked on a story. And I think with storytelling games, that's the risk of bringing back a game, because there's not going to be much story there. So it really just depends on the content. And specifically, Konami with Metal Gear probably isn't going to work. Probably most young people are going to say, I don't get this. Now, the flip side of that is with the retro appeal for guys like me. I love Metal Gear 3. Like, I'll play it because that'll be fun. The game itself will probably be super short. But then again, as I age, I find I have less time to play games. So I actually enjoy, picking something up, being able to either largely complete it or get halfway through in a session or two, and feel really good about it. Anyway, I think the retro appeal of old games is going to help them sell. The cost to make them is going to be super low. But I would say this is a last gasp out of Konami. I mean, they don't have Kojima working for them anymore. Unfortunately, they own the Metal Gear IP, and he's the creative guy who's not working on it anymore. So let's hope he comes up with something else. I mean, Death Stranding was novel and interesting and, by many measures, a great game, but it's not Metal Gear. I think what we would all love is him to keep working on Metal Gear because he's so good at it. It's sort of like Coppola making, Godfather movies, and when he stopped making them, he kind of stopped making movies. You really would like to see the guys, pursue the brand that they're so good at. And, I think about that like horror movies, like, the John Carpenter movies or the Scream series. They somehow they stay interesting, even though they keep updating and, coming up with new ones. I think you're going to always get more and more of the same. I think we're going to, love when we get something novel and new, like Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3. I think that we're going to get very few of those, 1 or 2 a year, maybe 3. We're getting a lot better, smaller games, and I think that's probably a trend we'll see in the future as well. So I think that this, bringing back Metal Gear 3 is like marrying retro to smaller games to cheap. And again, more is better. So as a consumer, I want more choice anyway. I think that that's a good trend. I hope that they'll at least figure out that they can make things that aren't quite as large and quite as deep and quite as immersive and make some money on it. Because again, more choice is better. Final thing I'll say is, look at the choice you get on Netflix. You can get anime. You can get documentaries. You can get Indian Bollywood movies. None of those things has appeal to everybody. Each of those has appeal to 5%, 10% of the viewing audience, but it works because you can go on Netflix and whatever you like will be there. I'd love to see that in gaming, and I think that this is an attempt to give each little niche audience something that they want. So I'm hopeful that we'll get a lot more of this, not fewer. I hope that it works well enough, that it's so cheap that they'll make enough of these things. Clearly, new IP is the best thing you can do to bring in new people, because new people want all the old stuff and they get the buzz of the new stuff. And you don't get buzz like a remastered Metal Gear Solid. People aren't going to talk about it. They're not going to post it on Reddit with 2 million hits. But a brand new IP, everybody's going to talk about it. So I think brand new stuff always brings in a bigger audience. And again, like, think about the Tyson Jake Paul fight. Tyson is an underdog, and he is 10x the fighter that Jake Paul was. But guess what? The handicap is age. That makes it interesting. 29-year-old guy or whatever he is against 58-year-old guy. That's cool. 25-year-old, I don't know what he is. But that's really, really cool. So, I think that that's the perfect balance. A mix of retro and brand new Everybody talks about it. Most people will talk about new, few people will talk about old. When you mix them together, everybody talks about it. So I think new is always better. Mixing new and old is just genius. Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor Live. If you are a Patreon patron, thank you for your patronage. If you are a YouTube subscriber, thank you for your patronage. If you are either of those or neither of those, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions in the show description below, and you've got to re-up that every couple of months. So please, if you haven't done it in a while, please check out the instructions below and do it. That's helping us out, keeping us funded. You're sticking it to Amazon. It costs you absolutely nothing. So free is good. Free with Amazon paying us is better for us. So please make sure that you do that. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky at Michael Pachter, and I will see you next time.